Good afternoon. Very pleased to welcome Mr. Thierry Froment, CEO Veolia Water Technologies Middle East. Thank you very much for being with us. Very big day. We're discussing something, and to be honest with you, that's the first time I hear about wastewater to energy. What can you tell us more about Veolia, of course, the world's leader in this regard, and what is the potential for this in the Middle East?
Well, we're trying as Veolia Water Technologies in the Middle East to improve the energy efficiency of the water treatment plant we build, and particularly the sewage treatment plant, and bringing to this part of the world some technologies we have used and implemented in Europe, and that allow to have zero consumption of electricity on sewage treatment plants. So we have built a few energy neutral sewage treatment plants, but very recently we started in Montpellier in France a sewage treatment plant that is effectively producing 2 times more energy than it consumes. So it's very possible to have a completely decarbonized sewage treatment plant today. And the way we do that is twofold. One is to reduce the energy consumption of the treatment itself by selecting the appropriate technologies to do so, by bolting in digital control. And so we have we create kind of a digital twin of the plant in order to optimize constantly the flow of air, which is the main energy consumer in a sewage treatment plant, to the quality of the effluent that is to be treated to achieve the quality of the treated effluent we are looking for. And then we use the sludge that is produced through the biological process, and we digest this sludge in an anaerobic reactor, and from that we produce biogas, and this biogas can be fed to a cogeneration plant and produce electricity that is then used to cover the electricity that is consumed by the plant. So that's the way we close the loop, if you may say.
What about the power? Would it be feasible, commercially feasible, in terms of generating power generation, enough, for example, to develop and power a small city or small village?
Well, actually, not far from here in Warsan, in Dubai, we have Veolia has financed and is operating a cogeneration plant that is using the biogas produced by the Alawir sewage treatment plant to produce electricity. Then this electricity is sold to the grid, to DIWA. So effectively, we can power. We are participating to the production of energy to cover the need of DIWA in the region.
Yeah, but do you foresee a potential or upcoming project for water waste to energy in the Middle East?
Well, I think there is a potential to upgrade the existing sewage treatment plant in the region to incorporate these type of systems so that they consume less electricity or no electricity whatsoever. But I think the primary use of the electricity generated by this plant will be to cover the need for the sewage treatment plant rather than to produce external energy.
All right. Okay. In terms of water, how is it going? As you know, the Middle East is or has one of the world's highest water consumption per capita, and still many people believe that it's still cheap. Some people, as you know, in Dubai, for example, it's not that cheap. How do you foresee the future of water generation and water plants in the Middle East overall?
Well, there has been, that because this region is one where the water scarcity is the highest in the world, most of the drinking water that is produced comes from seawater desalination. So there has been a lot of efforts to reduce the electricity consumption of seawater desalination. Actually, it has been reduced by almost 80% compared to 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. There is also, by moving from thermal desalination to seawater reverse osmosis, it has been possible to decouple the seawater desalination plant from the gas power plants that were providing the energy previously to the thermal desalination plants. And it is now possible to feed these seawater desalination plants with solar energy and completely decarbonize the production of fresh water. The next relay is really very much into making a better use of the treated sewage that comes out of the sewage treatment plants. Today, about 50% in the region of this sewage goes back to the sea. Mm-hmm. This treated sewage goes back to the sea, and then it needs to be redesalinated at a high energy cost. So what we are working on is making a better use of this treated sewage to reuse it as water for irrigation, water for landscaping, cleaning streets, to feed cooling towers that are used in the large district cooling system in the region, and for industrial purpose. So really the effort is in making a better use and try to, most countries in the region have a target to reach 95 or 100% of reuse in the coming years.
Yeah, we're seeing lots of stringent and strict laws coming, for example, in Europe and also in the Middle East in terms of sustainability and all that across various sectors and subsectors. We're also seeing, for example, food waste initiatives. We're seeing a lot, but less so with water, although it is one of the major contributor. How do you foresee the regulations, and how can we optimize the regulations and the policies to reduce water waste in the Middle East?
Well, I think if you look, I think one of the reasons today the Middle East and particularly the UAE have one of the highest water consumption per capita in the world is because the water remains relatively cheap in the region despite the difficulty to produce it. And I think if you convert from seawater desalinated to reuse water, to produce the kind of reuse water that can be used is much cheaper in terms of energy than seawater desalination. So at that in that instance, by having a higher quantity of the water that is reused, we can cope with the increase of population in the region, and at the same time, we can expect that the water, the price of the fresh water is going to continue to increase, and therefore that will push down the consumption per capita of the region. But we are really trying to fight at the same time the growth of the population, the growth of the demand, and reduce the energy consumption of this water production.
As per the repetitive advices of the IMF and the former head, Madame Lagarde, Christine Lagarde, the UAE has increased their energy prices, for example, in terms of petrol. We have seen it's very much similar to some states in the United States, for example, and also DEWA bills in Dubai in particular are not cheap, as you know, at all. How do you see that? And do you see that other parts of the Middle East, also even Saudi, has increased their petrol prices? Do you see that the region is heading in terms of basically reducing subsidies like what the UAE and Dubai in particular has done?
Well,
and do you think that would help?
Well, I'm sure one of the reasons the consumption is high is because the price remains relatively low, and the price remains relatively low because the price of energy remains relatively low in this part of the world. So as the price of energy increases, and more importantly, as the way the states quantify the use of this carbonated energy, can influence the price of the water, and therefore a trend towards less consumption by the people, but also a consumption of water or production of the water which will be less costly in energy.
Thierry, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.